Hey everyone, welcome back. So we're going to talk about our Enterobius vermicularis, which causes pinworm infection. So pinworms are, and you can see them here. This is a good picture of what pinworms look like. This is right around the anal canal. Pinworms are very tiny roundworms that live in the last portion of the large intestine as well as in the rectum. The pinworms then eat the waste material that is going to come out of the body anyways. So they're not really taking a lot of nutrients from the host or from us. But then what they do cause is itching. So they'll come out at night, the females will, and they will lay eggs right around the anal region, right in here. And then they crawl back into that rectal region and into the large intestines. So, pinworms are one of the most common worm infections that we see in the Midwest. And so they are super easy to spread because the eggs, and I have a really cool picture here, the eggs are super microscopic and lightweight. That if you are sweeping, if you are fluffing the sheets of your child, the eggs will get into the air and then you can just breathe them in. So these eggs get into your intestines and then they hatch, they move down into the lower region of the large intestine, like I said, and they come out and lay eggs. The females will at night. They come out when you are less active. So it causes itching, and the most common individuals that get this infection are very young children. So when you're 1 year old, 2 years old, and you're playing with other children, you can transmit the disease, right? So think about children playing in sandboxes together. That 1 or a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or even a 4-year-old is in a sandbox playing and they scratch their butt, that's going to get some worm eggs under their nails. They play in the sand, the eggs can get into the sand, or they play with some toys, the eggs get on the toys. Little kids put their fingers in their mouth. They put their fingers in other people's mouths. So again, they're transmitting this worm. Moms make beds. Moms fluff sheets. Dads make beds. Dads fluff sheets. So they get the eggs in the air and they can inhale the eggs. So if one person in a family has pinworms, it's very often that all the people in that family may have that disease. Another really interesting fact about pinworm disease is that though it's super common, at least half of individuals that ever have pinworms won't even realize they have pinworms because they have no symptoms. So it causes itching, but it only causes itching in about 50% of the cases. So people can have pinworms and not even know they are infected with pinworms. And so though this is a parasite, I'm going to write that word down. I almost think of it more as a commensalist. And so remember, commensalism is a symbiotic relationship in which one organism is gaining benefits, that would be the pinworm, and the other organism is not gaining benefits, nor is it getting harmed, that would be the human. Another nematode is Wuchereria bancrofti. Wuchereria bancrofti is a filarial worm. Filarial worms are small worms that are oftentimes, when they get into the body, they move into the lymphatic system. And so filarial worms will get into the blood vessels and then get into lymphatic vessels, and they block lymphatic vessels from draining, and this can cause diseases like elephantiasis or lymphatic filariasis. Another type of filarial worm is Onchocerca volvulus. So this is not the full name. I'm sorry. There you go. Onchocerca volvulus is a worm that gets into the body and it causes extreme itching on the skin but it also goes into the eyes. And so it infects the eyes, causes a serious inflammatory response to the eyes, and it causes individuals to go blind. So every year there are millions that are infected with this worm, but every time, and this is transmitted by a black sandfly. So every year, the more often people get bit by these sandflies, the more worms they get. And it's the accumulation of the worms that causes the severe itching and the severe damage to the cornea and eyes. And what ends up happening is by the time you are an adult, you are completely blind. And so here is, I told you severe itching. People will itch so bad that they will start to bleed. This has caused some people to actually want to, so the stress from the itchiness can actually lead people to want to commit suicide. And here you can see a child is leading two older people together to wherever these elderly, and I say elderly, I mean adults because they don't look old, but these older people, these adults, to wherever they have to go, because children are not blind. Children can lead the older individuals to where they need to be. And this is what the eyes look like when they are damaged. So now we'll get into tapeworms. Tapeworms, your cestodes, are flat. They don't have a digestive system like roundworms do. They absorb nutrients through the body. They have a head, and that head contains a scolex. So this is the scolex on the head. You have these little hooks up here. And then you have these suckers. And then the body is comprised of tiny little structures called proglottids. And as the proglottids lead away from the head, so down here, these proglottids are going to be filled with eggs. Closer up, they won't have the eggs, but as they grow, as the worm ages, they get more and more proglottids, and these ones that are lower down are going to be filled with eggs. Tapeworms are hermaphroditic, so they have both male and female sex parts, and they can have sex with themselves. So you only need one tapeworm to produce millions of eggs. An interesting historical fact about tapeworms is that tapeworms will, because tapeworms, when they get into your system, they're depriving you of the nutrients that you would normally have. They have actually been used in weight loss. And so in the past, and even as like recently as a few years ago, some people have used tapeworm eggs to help lose weight, which is kind of crazy. And so these are a couple of the different weight loss flyers that would go around in the past. Kind of interesting. The last worms that we'll talk about then are our trematodes. So trematodes are flat and leaf-like shaped. So you can see they're flat. They do have a little bit of a structure there. This is a male. And oh, hold on. Let me change the color to blue. There we go. So this is a male and this is a female, all right? The male has a structure known as a gynecophorical groove, and that groove allows the female to sit right inside. And then the male and the female will live like this. And so basically the male moves around, does whatever. The female sits inside, goes along for the ride, and she can have sex anytime she wants and then lay eggs. So examples of flukes, schistosoma mansoni is an example of a blood fluke. In general, they live in your blood, but the eggs move into the intestines, and then they come out with the feces. So there are certain types of flukes that actually cause problems in humans because humans are a dead-end host for them. And so here's an example, swimmer's itch, that is caused when a fluke that is normally supposed to get into a duck gets into the human. So when humans get it, they get a form of dermatitis that severely causes itching, but then it goes away. The worms will die and individuals will get over the itchiness. And so this is schistosomiasis. So here we'll start with, I'm trying to find number 1 just so I can do it. So here we have different eggs coming out with the feces. And so here's schistosoma mansoni, schistosoma japonicum, schistosoma hematomium. And you can tell the difference by the shape of the eggs. Eggs hatch, releasing Mercidae. The Mercidae then penetrate snail tissue. There's that intermediate host. The sporocysts then grow inside of the snail, and once they are mature, they're released from the snail. Now we have cercariae. Cercariae penetrate the skin of an individual. The cercariae lose their tail, and they become schistosomulae as they enter the circulatory system. They migrate to the liver and mature into adults. Once they're adults, they then can reproduce sexually, and the eggs are then going to again be laid right next to the intestines. The eggs will burrow through from the blood into the intestinal tissue and then be released again with the fecal matter. I'm going to stop here and we'll get into the insects in our next video. Bye.